What's up, everybody? Cheers. I'm here sipping on my dust and hype, ready to go train legs, and I'm going to answer your Instagram questions once and for all. Once again, whatever to say. But finally looked over these, took some screenshots, so I'm just going to run through these as quickly and efficiently as possible. Um, if you ever used tyrosine pre-contest for cardio with caffeine, is a combo you like? Personally, I've used enough nootropics and stimulants that L-tyrosine is kind of like throwing a match in a campfire. It's nice. There's a lot of scientific research shows it does enhance your focus. But I can't tell you personally that I've noticed any effects from it. Um, my current full days of diet. I'm gonna just say that my first meal, my last meal are the only meals that I really have concrete kind of planned. The other meals, I have a meal prep company, Meal Dealers. They're helping me do that. So that will be kind of a standard bodybuilding meal. Have a serving of vegetables, have about 8, maybe sometimes 10 ounces of protein, and up to 2 cups of rice. Sometimes sweet potato. I usually prefer the rice. Um, But I made that other video with the 3,000 calorie meal, and that's like what I try to do for breakfast. And I also will attempt another meal like that post workout, but it's usually a little smaller because normally I can't eat quite as much after I train. My appetite after I train usually isn't very good. Um, and because I train really intense, I make myself a little nauseous, I'm not sure. Um, Most efficient way to get your delts to grow. Um, Same with triceps. I think that it's not what traditionally people do, which is shoulder presses, shoulder presses, shoulder presses. I think you should shoulder press, but if my shoulders are round, and as you can see, like if I turn, that's my rear deltoid. So I start from the rear and I work my way to the front, and I don't really even do any front raises. I do rear delt raises, side delt raises, and then I press. And then if you're doing chest as well, like heavy inclines, you're crushing your front delts. So I don't know why you should really need too much more. That should be more than enough. Triceps, again, you're probably pressing heavy with, you know, chest training and such. Um, I'm really into cables, movements that force me to really contract the muscle. And I've posted some arm training videos, so check that out. Do you believe in changing your training to low weight, high reps before a show? Is it better than continuing to lift heavy? Um, I don't believe in changing your training. Um, Obviously, you should change it. The reason you should change it is to avoid injury. But whatever got you the muscle is probably going to keep you the muscle. So if you're in a caloric deficiency and you also lower the weight and you just do light reps, I think you're kidding yourself if you think you're going to show up looking as dense and carved out. I guess the fast twitch muscle, you'll lose some of that fast twitch muscle because you're just kind of you'll be working mostly slow twitch muscle fibers. Um, does your training change more from pre-contest to off season? I think the training change, like I said, is secondary to diet change. Um, Training is training. You learn how to train a body part, how to stimulate it, and depending on how much energy you have, maybe if you're holding some extra weight, if you're off season, you might, your joints might feel a little healthier. You could push a little more weight. Otherwise, for me, I've learned what exercises work the best for me and what training works the best for me. So I pretty much stick to that all year round. Now the diet will change, and so I pretty much just try to train the same way on a caloric deficit or surplus. Um, you always see me squat bench the same way for similar reps. Um, do you try to add weight or add reps, or do you feel like this is enough to grow? Well, let's think about it. To the level that I'm at now, when you start lifting, you can add weight every week, and it is beneficial to grow. At this point, when I'm doing 4 or 5 for 5 reps on incline, squatting 5 plates for 10 at the end of a workout, whatever, I'm not really it's gonna be very hard for me to be adding weight every workout. So that it's not gonna apply to everybody. I'll try here and there, but it's not realistic to expect that of myself. Maybe an extra rep here and there, but it's completely different than when you're starting out. And that's not to say that I can't gain a significant amount of strength, but it's just going to take a lot more time than me, throwing tens on there every month or something. I don't train for strength. Just in the future, guys, I'm getting some drug questions, and for one, you already know how I feel about answering drug questions. Like, I may touch on things that are just a question, a specific question that maybe I have knowledge of that I could share with you, but research before you ask a question, because some of these are just, it seems as if you don't know anything of what you're talking about. So I'm not really going to answer a question if it doesn't seem like you've done any research to back it. Okay. How important is functionality and overall CNS usage in terms of developing an individual's best physique? Is it appropriate to prioritize the knowledge on how the body works and moves before just following your favorite bodybuilder's routine? And if it's better, why? Other than the obvious mind-body connection, my question stems from recently hindering myself from training in the way I used to. So I kind of almost, but not really, start over with formability and so on and so forth. Thank you kindly. I've had to do the same thing, and that's one of the reasons I have trouble with people asking me, hey Aaron, what's the best workout for this? Because there's no right answer. That's the truth. You need to figure that out for you, and you need to figure out your body mechanics. You need to connect with your body, and you need to learn to move. I've hurt like my sciatica. I've hurt something out of my soleus. I've hurt, I have some injuries that I've collected over training hard and heavy over the years, and this is just going to happen. But you should never just watch a pro or somebody elite who's training and go, monkey see, monkey do. Okay? No, when I post a workout, I'm trying to share my knowledge of something that's worked for me. Maybe you can use it for yourself, but you should tweak it probably. A lot of bodybuilding things, a lot of things about the body, they don't have a black and white answer because everybody's wired a little bit differently. So you're gonna have to figure that out, and definitely don't just follow a routine because you read it. You should, like an exercise that you do during a workout. If I walked up to you and said, well, "Why are you doing this exercise?" You shouldn't say, because it's for legs. Like, you should be able to give me an intelligent answer to why. Why are you doing this on your quad day, or etc.? There should be a reason. Um, there's a method to all the madness. So, all right. How were you first able to transition from working class and competing to being an athlete, making all necessary income from bodybuilding? Never. I don't know. I think that's an unrealistic, um, maybe picture that people have. I mean, up until the beginning of this year, I was a regional sales manager, and now I started another apparel company that I draw the designs for. That I've been working to grow, and you're not like I don't think that anybody should think that you're gonna make a necessary income from bodybuilding. Now, at this point, I make money from bodybuilding, sure, but it's not. I would never recommend that you sit on it. Always try to work. Always be working class if you can, because if you don't, then what happens? Like you're setting yourself up to be a racehorse, and that's the word that I use for a lot of people. So make yourself valuable and don't try to kind of escape the working class and just be a bodybuilder, being a sponsored athlete. I have done that before, and I'll tell you what, it's one of the most stressful things you can imagine when you're not well, you are working, okay, because it's not easy to do, and you're under a lot of pressure. Um, but when it's almost like you're getting an allowance in the mail to do what you have to do, um, it's very stressful. You have a lot of pressure on yourself, and you don't feel like you have a lot of control over the money that you're making. So I think bodybuilding, in a sense, can give you an opportunity to, once you make some money from bodybuilding, you build a name, and then you can kind of become an entrepreneur out of that. And that's what I would recommend to people. There's no reasoning behind muffins. Calorically dense, high carbohydrate. Um, how to do a cardio while trying to cut? Um, this is really general question, man. Um, the most I've done is like 2 or 3 times a day, which is overkill. This is when I was trying to do 212 class. I don't recommend it. The reason uh, that you will lose muscle, you'll f up your gains from doing too much and trying to rush a cut, of course, because if you're rushing a cut, that means you're probably in a caloric deficiency, doing too much cardio, burning too many calories. You're gonna lose muscle. Even if you're on drugs, you're gonna lose muscle. It's just how it is. Um, the elbow guard, knees, wraps. I feel like, um, especially the knees, have helped me a lot. I have kind of questionable knees from skateboarding. What's my favorite motivational quote or phrase? Jeez, man. Um, we'll probably butcher it, but I did always like that one. I probably have it. Hold on, let me. Just because I can. I always really like to quote from uh, the individual has always had to struggle to keep from being overwhelmed by the tribe. If you try it, you'll be lonely often and sometimes frightened, but no price is too high to pay for the privilege of owning yourself. And I think that that applies to life a lot, um, at least to me, because I see people being overwhelmed by the tribe all the time. You know, they're looking forward to the weekend to go out to party. They're being overwhelmed by the tribe. You know, their friends, their social life. Um, and if you separate yourself, it's kind of scary. You know, it can be depressing. Um, it can be it can be hard. And but if you really want to separate yourself from the pack and own yourself, no price is too high to pay. So it's worth it. So I think that's cool. Frederick Nietzsche. I probably butchered that. I always read it. I always butcher that name. um, anyways, back to your questions. Um, how did I get my ass so big? Squatting, uh, lunges. I don't know. To be honest with you, I never had any ass. It was just lower back to leg, and then I started working out, and maybe it's a postural thing. I'm not sure, but I'm very my mind is very connected with my ass muscles. Um, I have not really ever carb cycled. I just do things straight up. How do I split up my training routine? Legs every 4 or 5 days. Good. These 2 questions in a row. Legs every 4 or 5 days, like every 5 days, and then in between those, I'll either do chest, back, uh, and shoulders, maybe an arm day. Um, those are the workouts that I'll kind of throw in between those, and then I'll throw in like an abs and cardio day in there. So that's kind of how it cycles. And each other leg day, excuse me, is one is centered on hamstrings, one is centered on quads. Let's say I lift 15,000 pounds during a workout. What? Uh, Once again, guys, like, it's just, I don't know if you guys are being serious or not, but it's it's very ambiguous, and you can lift all the weight you want. You go home and you don't eat, you're not gonna grow. So, uh, that's too vague of a question. I can't really answer it. Please touch on calories and the difference in meals from bulking to cutting. No matter how much I eat, I'm told that I'm not eating enough. Well, that's up to the individual. For me, I feel like I could always eat more. Not because I'm hungry. That's the problem. I'm not hungry. Um, that I would say you need to go get analyzed. Like, they'll hook you up to a machine and tell you how many calories you need a day to maintain status quo, homeostasis. And then you get to say, okay, so I want to gain weight. So a pound is what, 3,500 calories normally. So then you add that surplus depending on how fast you want to gain that weight and what your daily activity is, how many calories you're burning during your training. You get one of those watches that tells you how many calories you're burning. Numbers, numbers, numbers. If you know the numbers, then it's hard to mess it up. Touch on your daily mindset. How do you chase your goals? I think that depends. Um, like, how do I chase becoming a pro bodybuilder? How do I chase is, I think that there was a point in my life where, I was going to school for graphics, and I still enjoy, art and drawing, and I have skills in that area, but um, you look at everybody and you say, wow, I'm going to graduate, I'm going to be just like millions of other people that are going to come out of here. And that to me is terrifying. And so it's kind of one of those things, like I would just said in the quote, um, no, no price is too high to pay uh, for the privilege of owning yourself. And if you want to be something, something that sets yourself apart from everything, if you want to be the next level, then you can't expect to do that doing what everyone else does. Um, that's not logical. So I think that to motivate yourself, you have to think that way, and you have to be terrified of being mediocre, and you have to be terrified of losing, and it can be kind of almost a detrimental mindset. Um, you know, it can make you, if you don't control it, it can make you an unhappy person. You need to find something to latch it onto. It's a very much a perfectionist type of mindset. Um, a good ab routine. I don't do much. I think that hanging leg raises um, are good. I also do an exercise on the back extension machine, just a small little crunch, but really hanging leg raises you could do, and your abs should look fine. Don't overthink it. Kevin Levrone, I don't know, man. I'm not going to comment on that. What level of intensity and volume does a pro follow? Lee Priest said 20 sets, 8 to 12 rep range minimum per part. Well, I think you should take this into consideration. I hear a lot of people say things like, oh man, for legs I did 8 sets of squats, or 10 sets of squats, something crazy like that. And I'll tell you right now, if you watch any videos of me training, when you see me do that heavy set, I cannot do another one. I'm spent after that. That's everything I've got. So I normally will work up, make sure I'm warm, and then I'll do that set and just crush it. And then maybe another descending one if I feel like I have it in me. But sometimes that's it. Sometimes it's just that set. It depends on the exercise. That's for like core exercises. But you don't need to really overdo the volume. And you also need to think, if you can really do 20 sets, how hard are you training? You might not be training hard enough. Because, let's be real, like, if you really push your body and punish it, like lifting as much as you can, squeezing as hard as you can, really high intensity, short rest, you're going to be gassed. Okay? So, that's kind of a ambiguous question, but people that train, I used to train really high volume, and I used to be able to do it more when I was less strong. Now that I'm stronger, my central nervous system gets, you know, a right hook every time I train. I gotta kind of be a little more careful. How many times a week do you reckon cardio should be kept through the off season? And what's my take on fasted cardio? And thanks for following. Um, I think for health, just in general, you could do it 3, 4 times a week. If you enjoy doing it, you could do it more. Um, I don't think that's really depends on what kind of cardio. Um, I like fasted cardio. It's not necessary, you know. If I were to choose a time to do cardio, I would probably do it fasted, just because I just maybe just to start my day like that. Um, you know, in the off season I don't, but um, I think it depends on what your goals are. Are you really trying to get huge, you know, or you know, what's your diet like? All these things are gonna factor into it. What's your genetic disposition like? Um, what do you train like? You know, do you train like a power lifter, or do you train, you know, high intensity, short rest periods, where you're actually getting your heart rate up? Blueberries have 2 gram protein per pound of protein. Is that true? No, no. That's I don't eat that much protein. And I honestly couldn't give you a number of grams of protein that I eat, but I think that people eat way, way, way too much. Just so you know. Well, would we open to training with fans? Yeah, I do sometimes. It depends. What's your opinion on if it fits your macros? And do you count macros or do that diet if it fits your macros? What? What's my opinion on it is that, yeah, I think it should be utilized, but not 100%. Like, you should eat some clean food too. Um, you are what you eat. Never forget that. Um, best time for cardio Friday in the morning is impossible. Still in high school. Well, when I was in high school, actually, I really enjoyed going out for a bike ride really, really early in the morning, um, and doing cardio. But if that's not an option, then post workout, I guess. Just keep it short and sweet. Before or after weight training cardio? After. How to time the muffins for pre workout meal? I usually don't eat the muffins of the pre workout meal. Uh, Time it? Jeez, man. You guys are getting specific on me. I don't know. I preferably eat, you know, an hour before I train would be optimal. Some of my favorite bands, musicians, jeez, it'd be a forever. You'd probably see put backing tracks to training videos and stuff that I post on Instagram, so you can pay attention and look at that and probably get a good grasp. Um, what do you wish you knew then and coming up that you do now? Phew, boy. Regarding training and nutrition, thanks, man. I could go on for hours. I mean, lots of stuff. Just in general, the whole thing. I mean, I started from scratch, so I didn't have a trainer training me. You know, I went in the gym and I figured everything out from reading, from hurting myself, from doing everything wrong. So, you name it. Um, and once again, like I said, I can't tell you everything I've learned is going to be what you're going to learn. Because there'll be some people, I'll have some people that'll come to me and they'll say, Aaron, you know, I'm doing something wrong because you're lifting this much weight on this and I'm not. So you got to tell me what it is that you're doing that I'm not doing. And the point is that it's nothing. You're doing the same thing. They might be better at something else, and I can just lift more on that, you know, or I might look this way and they might look that way. Sometimes there's not really an answer, and sometimes that, you know, there's things we can't control. Um, and I think it's really, you know, work with a hand that you're dealt the best you can. But most importantly, is learn that hand that you're dealt. Learn how to play it. Um, no, I don't really do online coaching. Um, I had some bad experiences with that. Um, I mean, if you want to talk, you could send me a DM, but uh, I toy with picking it up again. But people are difficult, let's just say that, and they like to blame me for a lot of things. uh, all these questions about what are good macros for lean, what's a good macros for cutting, what's good, these questions are questions I can't really answer, guys. You're gonna have to figure that out yourself. It's too broad. I can't really answer it. I don't know if I'll be in Florida anytime soon. Not sure. Um, I just um, I just answered that question. Would you recommend your arm workout on Blackstone Labs for a natural bodybuilder? Why not? What's the difference? I mean, unless you eat like a bird, it should be fine. uh, work is best. Your master legs and glutes. Works best? Heavy high volume or stupid heavy lower reps? I think I've answered this question about 5 to 10 times. Both. I do both every time. Um, I already answered that. Tricks to keep your appetite up and get your meals in down easier. Um, that's hard. Uh, I struggle with appetite in terms of one thing for me that's helped me is to just keep egg whites. If I cannot eat a meal, I will drink the meal. Egg whites is they're pasteurized. You could process it. That's really in short a tip in terms of getting your appetite up. Could be all kinds of issues. You could see a doctor and see what your blood looks like. It could be thyroid, could be your liver enzymes, could be all kinds of things. Could just be you have a bad appetite. But there could be some influencing factors. Starting out when you gain a lot of in the past 2 months you gain 10 pounds of muscle, one pec is bigger than the other. Totally normal, man. Just keep doing dumbbells. That's how I was. Biggest sacrifice to make it in the sport. I think that's a hard question to answer because I think it's something that, to be honest, I may never know. Um, because I don't know what my life would be like without um, bodybuilding and the way things have turned out. And if you want to talk about sacrifices, let's say relationships, etc., I don't really consider that sacrifices. If things in my life that came with bodybuilding, um, bodybuilding has given me a lot, and it's really been a blessing. And right now, it's given me a lot of opportunities to grow. And I'm not saying this to make myself to be arrogant or anything, but things in my eyes that they look good, and I have opportunities to grow in different ways. So if it has hurt any relationships or driven people away or things like that, I consider that to be a blessing because that showed me who they really were, and that showed me that they really shouldn't be there, long term. So a lot of sacrifices can be blessings if you think about it. Maybe those sacrifices were things that were really going to hurt you in the end. You never know. So it's all about your outlook. The best gyno doc in the Nova area. Um, I've sent a lot of people Um, a lot of my friends have gone to a guy named Andrew Kriegel, and he he seems to have the lowest prices in the area. So anytime anyone asks, I always say Andrew Kriegel. I know some girls that went and got their boobs done there. He had the lowest price for that too. So Andrew Kriegel, and tell him Aaron Clark told you to go, because he probably loves me. But he loves me by now. um, I'm confused, man. I feel like I've answered this question a few times. Don't overthink the number, okay? Don't overthink that at this point. Just, do 5 sets for one exercise, do 3. If you're doing 5 sets, those 5 sets are not hard enough. You shouldn't be able to do 5 sets. That's my opinion. Where's my training split? I already answered that. More chicken and rice or more beef and sweet potatoes? More water or more mineral water? Uh, all of the above? You should have a balance. And that's it. So we did this in under 40 minutes. I think that's a record. I always take too long. Thanks for participating in this. And if I disappointed you with how I answered your question, I'm sorry. You can always comment again and be like, Aaron, you suck. You didn't do it. You know, you totally misunderstood what I was trying to say. Um, Send me a message. But we'll keep trying to do this. And I like staying in touch with you guys. So thanks for participating as usual. It's your boy Aaron signing off. Peace.